Hello, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane HD and Hurricane Pro video blog for Sunday, the 26th of May, 2013. A few things to mention here in the tropics this fine Sunday as we celebrate Memorial Day weekend. Nothing in the Atlantic just yet, even though hurricane season doesn't officially begin until next Saturday in the Atlantic Basin. We like to watch for potential preseason development like we had last year with Alberto and Beryl. You remember that? Beryl was about this time last year, in fact, off the northern coast of Florida. Almost a hurricane that came into Jacksonville. No such issues this weekend. In fact, a very nice weekend across much of the southeast, albeit maybe just a little bit cool for beachgoers. Down here in the eastern Pacific, hurricane season began May the 15th, and we do have an area to watch down here. The 48-hour tropical cyclone formation potential starting to creep up here along the scale, still at the lower end of that scale. Look at this off the coast of Africa. Just a tiny little area here showing up as a pretty strong tropical wave emerging from the west coast of Africa. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. First, in the eastern Pacific, we have a couple of areas to monitor. There was 3 yesterday, but now down to 2, and I believe that this feature right here will basically merge with this entire area of low pressure, sort of a monsoonal trough down there, a trough of low pressure at the surface with westerly winds at about 5,000 feet coming in here. That's what a monsoon is a reversal of the seasonal wind flow, and you get this monsoon trough feature that sets up. Think of it as a grapevine, and grapes would be the tropical storms that form along that grapevine. And this particular system trying to organize, but very slowly, bringing some rain showers to the coast of extreme southern and southeast Mexico, portions of Guatemala. This is the Gulf of Tehuantepec right here, and the Hurricane Center giving it a 20% probability of tropical cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. I think it's going to take longer than that. It has certainly been taking a while down there as a general unsettled pattern has been in place, but nothing developing rapidly. If we look at a different satellite perspective, this is the area we're watching right here. This is the Gulf of Tehuantepec. There is Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua over here. So, again, some rain showers along the coast, but nothing organized just yet. The Atlantic Basin nice and clear. You can see the evidence of strong upper-level winds cutting across the deep tropics, and strong upper-level winds this way and this way. Westerlies all over the place down here are going to preclude development anytime soon, but this region will become of interest, I think, in the next week to 10 days, as the computer models are indicating a lowering of the pressures in the surface across this area, and then perhaps a more favorable upper-level pattern. We will wait and see. I'll talk about that in a minute. A different perspective yet again for the southeast Pacific. To give you your bearings, here is the southern coast of Mexico, the Gulf of Tehuantepec, and then finally the coast of Guatemala and El Salvador over here, and then you get down towards Costa Rica and Panama farther down. So this is the southeast Pacific right here, and you can see that we have these globs, or blobs, whatever you prefer, of showers and thunderstorms, popcorn convection I like to call it, although these are some pretty big thunderstorm complexes. But what you don't see is any kind of organization just yet. There is a pretty telltale sign of favorable upper-level winds for the most part. I look for this sort of fanning out of the clouds, but they're all kind of in one direction. You haven't quite begun the fanning out process in all 4 quadrants where it would look like that, where the upper-level winds allow that moisture that's coming in and energy at the surface to be flung out in the upper levels in a clockwise fashion, what we call that outflow, established on the southwest side of this thunderstorm complex down here, as this slowly tries to organize over the warm waters of the southeast Pacific. I think folks up here along the coast of Mexico need to watch this, mainly for a heavy rain threat, not to be taken lightly. Very heavy rain from tropical systems is one of the hazards, and they don't have to be hurricanes to become problematic. Now remember that little tiny purple area, that sliver of purple, like a 2% probability of development right off the coast of Africa here. One of the things that was indicated in the seasonal forecast, one of the aspects of the upcoming season being very busy, was this active West African monsoon, these tropical waves, and we see this being pretty active already. There's another thunderstorm complex here, and even more over Central Africa. Way too early, hopefully, to be looking for this kind of stuff right now, but this is a pretty vigorous tropical wave out here for this time of year. Water temperatures across this region are running almost a degree Celsius above normal, so you never know. Maybe in the first few weeks of June, maybe something to watch out there. I doubt it. It's pretty climatologically unfavorable out there this time of year. More towards the 1st of July in an active season like we're supposed to have. Think about 2008 when Hurricane Bertha formed in July down in the deep tropics. That was a very busy season. '08 was, and this year could be something similar to that. We'll wait and see. Just thought I would point that vigorous tropical wave out to you. So this is the Global Forecast System computer model, and let me try to draw in some land masses for you. Here's the west coast of the United States, the Baja Peninsula, coast of Mexico, and the west coast of South America. Then you have the Gulf of Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula here, and the outline of South America there. And we'll draw in Florida for good measure. This is about 7 to 8 hours out. We'll call it 3 days. And what we're looking at are these greens here are the lowering of the pressures on this side of the scale. And so your color scheme here, as we get into the blues and finally to purple, you would have lower and lower air pressure, or a deeper system is what we like to call it. And so this is 3 days from now, and we see a general envelope of low pressure out here in the southeast Pacific, but you don't see a lot of these isobars. Notice up over Kansas and Nebraska here. And this is a completely different story for another discussion perhaps, but this low pressure area has more isobars with it than this tropical system down here. So this low pressure, if you look down here, has about 992 air pressure, and this one maybe 996 to 998. So this is weaker than what we have sitting up here over Kansas, a surface low associated with a cold front, which means we'll probably have some more severe weather up here over the plains, so be on the lookout for that. But down in the tropics, this is not very deep in terms of the low pressure area, and then you have this huge high pressure area sitting out over the Atlantic, and that'll keep things from developing out that way. But the bottom line here in the eastern Pacific doesn't look like anything very intense in the offing. And if we're going out to 96 hours, again, look at this low pressure sitting up over the northern plains here, classic comma shape to it, while down here in the tropics near the coast of Mexico, this low pressure twin, one here and one here, sitting at about 1,000 to 1,004 millibars. So more of a heavy rainmaker than the threat of a hurricane right now. I don't see that in any of the models, at least not the reliable models, so that's good news. Speaking of heavy rain, though, again, that is a hazard of tropical systems, and we need to emphasize that this year. We're going to be doing that more so than ever before. Get away from the categories and thinking of them as 1 is not bad, 3, 4, and 5 is bad. It's a hurricane or a tropical storm or whatever. It can bother you. It can give you problems. It can, cause property damage, and in extreme cases, unfortunately, cause loss of life. So, that being said, this is the beginning of National Hurricane Preparedness Week, May 26th, which is today, running through next Saturday, June 1st, the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season. Today is a good time to check out hurricanes.gov or ready.gov. Our website, hurricanetrack.com. We have a YouTube channel with quite a bit of videos that explain hurricane basics. The National Hurricanes website at hurricanes.gov does the same. So understanding what you're up against, Hurricanes 101 is a good way to look at it. That's today's topic. Tomorrow, storm surge. Historically, the largest killer in tropical cyclones is storm surge, although freshwater inland flooding has been a lethal force over the past several decades as more and more people live in more flood-prone areas. Wind also obviously, I think, gets the biggest headline, yet storm surge seems to be the most lethal force. We want to change that and have people understand tropical storms and hurricanes as a whole rather than, oh, well, it's not that strong, it's just a Category 1. Well, we saw a Category 1 flood areas of southeast Louisiana with storm surge, and Ike, a Category 2, with 22 feet of storm surge in some locations. And I mentioned inland flooding from way too much rainfall over a short amount of time, or sometimes a lot of rainfall over a long amount of time, like we saw with Allison, a tropical storm in the Houston area in 2001. On Thursday, the National Hurricane Center will be talking about the forecast process. If you're interested in models and how the forecasts are made, that is, by the way, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/hurricane track. Some great information in there about the forecast process when I talk to folks from the National Hurricane Center. Finally, on Friday, all about getting a plan, and then Saturday, the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season. After the storm, I often tell people you can survive the hurricane with common sense, but it's the aftermath, and this is obvious, that lingers sometimes for almost a generation. You think about people who have dealt with some of these historic hurricanes. It's not over once the news headlines fade and the wind fades away and the rain dries up. The effects last long after the storm, and that is the topic next Saturday as we open the Atlantic hurricane season. All right, so we'll be keeping an eye on the Southeast Pacific. Nothing in the Atlantic right now, though it looks like maybe towards the latter part of next week, just before the start of the season, we might see a change in the pattern. I will address that more on tomorrow's update. Again, I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Always a privilege to be able to produce these videos for Hurricane Pro and the iPad version, Hurricane HD, and I'll see you again tomorrow.